They expect you to panic, to falter first, to break first, to speak first. The world thrives on immediate reactions, emotional, impulsive, and unrestrained. But what happens when you resist? When you remain unmoved amid chaos, your expression unyielding like stone, and your mind as still as an untouchable frozen lake? That state transcends calm. It's pure, unshakable power. Few understood this better than Machiavelli. Let's clarify one thing. Calmness isn't synonymous with peace. It's not gentleness or passivity. It's a weapon, but only if wielded with intent. Many mistakenly equate composure with weakness, passivity, or letting circumstances dictate outcomes. They confuse stillness for submission. Machiavelli would scoff at such notions. For him, calm wasn't the absence of reaction. It was calculated, a deliberate silence crafted to unsettle, to assert control, and above all, to shield oneself against emotional traps. He once said that a man who always strives to display virtue will inevitably fall prey among those devoid of it. Put simply, polite calmness is insufficient. But when your calm is fortified like armor, consciously employed as strategy rather than fragility, you operate at a level most can neither grasp nor navigate. The first principle: never react predictably or as expected. When someone provokes you, emotionally or otherwise, they attempt to steer your response, scripting your next move. And most people oblige. Insults spark arguments, fear triggers panic, compliments elicit smiles. Predictable behavior creates vulnerabilities. Machiavelli teaches that predictability is restraint, a hidden leash. Power resides in mastering your responses, not for harmony, but for control. When you're unreadable, no one can anticipate your actions or design plans against you. Secondly, leverage silence as a tool of reflection. When others speak excessively, listen closely, not for emotional connection, but to reveal their strategies and vulnerabilities. Silence tends to compel people to fill the void with truths they might not intend to share, exposing their fears, biases, and ambitions in the process. Machiavelli often let his adversaries talk themselves into corners. A composed demeanor and focused gaze pushed people into oversharing, building desperation as they filled the silence with misplaced narratives. The longer they spoke, the greater the power shifted toward the one who remained unmoved. Finally, detach from praise. This concept carries subtle danger. Praise is often used as a manipulation tactic. It softens your defenses, makes you strive to uphold an image others have complimented. But Machiavelli warned against relying on external validation, calling it one of the most insidious traps. The more composed you remain in the face of praise, the more unsettling your presence becomes. A sharp edge isn't dulled by recognition. It's preserved through detachment. Why? Because ambiguity keeps others guessing about your stance, whether you agree, disagree, or have larger plans in mind. You maintain control over your image, refusing to adopt theirs. Fourth, reduce the pace. Stress often leads people to accelerate, speaking quickly, thinking hastily, and making rushed decisions. That's where errors occur. A Machiavellian mindset understands that urgency is frequently contrived, designed by others to pressure you into reactive compliance. Your calm demeanor disrupts this dynamic. It implies, "I don't operate on your schedule." When you refuse to be swept into their chaos, they are forced to confront your stillness, reshaping the balance of power. Fifth, focus on patterns rather than words. By staying neutral emotionally, You gain clarity, discerning reality from manipulations. Words can deceive, but behaviors are truthful. The person who extols loyalty may vanish when you're at your lowest point. The one who over-celebrates others' success might never genuinely applaud yours. Machiavellian composure empowers you to observe without being entangled in their storyline. You gather information, study actions, then strike with calculated precision when necessary. No theatrics, just results. Sixth, prepare for the worst before it comes. This isn't about becoming pessimistic, but about fortifying resilience. When you mentally accept possibilities like betrayal, failure, or loss ahead of time, their arrival cannot destabilize you. You navigate through challenges with remarkable poise because you've already envisioned them. Witnessing such unshakable composure diminishes others. It strips them of the power to surprise or unsettle you. That is psychological mastery. Seventh, conceal your ambition. Remaining calm doesn't mean lacking desire. It reflects disciplined determination. The most formidable individual doesn't broadcast their intentions, but progresses steadily toward them, masked by a neutral facade and unwavering resolve. Machiavelli cautioned against displaying excessive eagerness for power. The truly adept move in silence while their focus remains unyielding. Machiavellian calm is a form of punishment delivered through distance. You step away completely. No closure, no explanations, no emotional resolution. Just a void. That empty space left behind weighs heavier than any words could. Recognize when to let others unravel on their own. Not every crisis requires your intervention. Often, people spiral, lie, or manipulate in anticipation of your reaction, counting on your effort to stabilize the situation. But a calm strategist knows when to let the chaos consume its architect, not out of malice, but as an exercise in control. Chaos has a tendency to self-destruct, and by maintaining your composure, you can observe it safely from a distance, detached, unscathed, and unmovable. However, do not confuse true calm with emotional suppression. Mastery of emotions isn't about becoming numb, but managing when and how you express them. Machiavelli didn't advocate for detachment, but for dominion over your inner world. True calm is an unwavering fire, steady, deliberate, and always under your control, like a blacksmith wielding flame. The calmer you are, the more unnerving your presence becomes for those who thrive in disorder. Silence becomes your strength, louder and sharper than their chaos. When faced with that silence, they prod, poke, and provoke, desperate for a reaction. Yet you watch, think, and calculate instead. Over time, your calm transforms from personal skill into a commanding presence. It alters the atmosphere without the need for words. People sense it the moment you enter, realizing they no longer dictate the pace, that their usual antics fall flat, that they can no longer hook or control you. Here lies the essence of Machiavelli's philosophy. Calm ceases to be theoretical and evolves into practical power. This practiced serenity subtly reshapes how others behave around you. They adapt almost subconsciously to your unspoken authority. Consider the predators of nature. Those who panic at every sound or pounce impulsively fail to dominate their environment. The ones who move with calculated slowness, measured yet confident, control everything within their reach. Their calm is not weakness or hesitation. It is supreme confidence, knowing their next move need not be chaotic to be devastatingly effective. This is the kind of calm that begins to reshape reality in your favor. People start second-guessing their decisions before they make them. They hesitate, hold back, and censor themselves, all because you refuse to allow them to disrupt your inner state. An even more powerful application of this is how you approach confrontation. Most people treat conflict like a chaotic brawl, impulsive, noisy, and disorganized. But Machiavelli would suggest viewing every confrontation as a strategic chess match. You don't need to strike first. You don't even need to appear aggressive. Instead, your goal is to project a composed and unsettling calmness, air so cold that it erodes their confidence. A calm opponent is unnerving because they exude preparedness, as though they anticipate every possible move. To achieve this, your calmness must be deliberate, rehearsed, and mastered until it becomes second nature. Even when the heat is on, your face should remain unreadable, revealing nothing to your opponent. There's also an art to emotional camouflage. You might be seething inside, but externally, you remain unmoved. This isn't about repressing your emotions. It's about playing the long game. You don't reveal what you feel in the moment. You allow them to uncover it only when it's far too late, when your plans have already unfolded. Calmness, in this sense, isn't the absence of action, but rather a calculated delay. You wait until responding serves you, not them. This is why those who rely on emotional outbursts as a weapon often fall apart when faced with someone possessing Machiavellian poise. Their tactics depend on provoking a reaction, and without it, their strategy crumbles under its own weight. To maintain this internal self-mastery requires resisting countless provocations. The modern world is engineered to incite reactions, notifications, headlines, insults, comparisons. Everyone is shouting for attention. But from a Machiavellian perspective, every attempt to grab your attention is also an attempt to control you. If you allow yourself to be angered by a post, a rumor, or a comment, you've handed over the reins of your mind. Calmness severs those invisible strings. It's a quiet refusal to be dragged into battles not of your choosing. Over time, this rejection of external triggers builds resilience against the manipulations that ensnare others. But maintaining this state is no easy feat. It demands rigorous self-awareness and discipline. Machiavelli's perspective on calm isn't about instant gratification or quick fixes. It's about the ongoing practice of examining your impulses. Each time you feel the urge to react, you pause and ask yourself, who gains from my reaction right now? Sometimes the answer will be in your favor, but more often than not, you'll realize that responding feeds another's strategy or ego. And in that moment of clarity, you learn restraint, letting silence speak instead. That's when the dynamic shifts. You stop playing their game and lead them into yours. There's an added advantage of practicing this profound stillness. It compels others to reveal themselves. Someone seeking to manipulate you expects resistance. When denied it, they overreach, pushing harder, making critical errors, or exposing their intentions prematurely. Your calmness acts like a mirror, forcing them to show their true priorities while leaving them baffled by your unreadability. This is how Machiavellian composure becomes a tool for gathering intelligence. You don't simply remain impartial, you use their frustration to learn and adapt. A calm mind sharpens memory. When you're free from emotional haze, you can recall conversations exactly as they happened, what was said, how it was said, and the patterns behind the behavior. This process builds an internal repository of insights and motives. When the time comes to make a strategic decision, who to trust, who to keep close, who to distance, you aren't guessing, you're remembering. Calm people are often misjudged as passive. In reality, they're silently accumulating observations. This quiet observation becomes your strength in moments of chaos. When others panic, you analyze. When others shout, you calculate. In such moments, you become the person people gravitate toward when things unravel, not because you have every answer, but because your composed presence feels grounding. This kind of calm isn't purely psychological, it's also social currency. It establishes a quiet authority that isn't dependent on titles or force, but instead stems from the steadiness of your inner state. This influence is profound and genuine, impossible to counterfeit. However, it's vital to treat this as perspective, not invulnerability. You'll still encounter tests, manipulation, and provocation. The difference lies in how clearly you recognize these challenges for what they truly are: auditions. People are perpetually auditioning for access to your time, energy, and emotional investment, most unworthy of it. Calmness gives you the clarity to assess and exclude, not with malice, but with neutrality. You learn to protect your reserves, not out of superiority, but because you're nurturing something indomitable within yourself: emotional sovereignty. This state isn't about detachment from your feelings, but about complete ownership over them. Nobody can rattle you unless you allow them to. Your responses are yours alone to command. Your silence becomes a tactic. Your calm becomes your greatest strength. When you fully embody this mindset, people will sense it through their hesitation, their unease, their subtle fear that no matter what they try, they can't disrupt your equilibrium. They can't affect you anymore, and they know it.